What's up again, everybody? I'm back again with another video of another lab that could be on the CCNA exam. This lab is the Ipv4, and Ipv6 assignment lab. Now, it's actually dual stacking, where you configure an Ipv4 and Ipv6 address on the same interface. I've actually done a lab of this previously, but this lab is a little different because in the first time I did this lab, IP addresses are different, and they gave you the IPv4 and the IPv6 addresses to use. But on this lab, however, you have to figure out the next usable subnet and then put those IPv4 and IPv6 addresses. So you got to figure them out yourself and put them on. So they give you a range to use. I have the instructions here, so let's go over the instructions. Okay, so the IPv4 subnet is 192.168.168.192 with this last 24 CIDR. 28 CIDR, sorry. And the IPv6 address is 2001:DB8:12:60 with the 125 CIDR. So our first task is to configure on R1 the first usable host IP address for the IPv4 network. And on router 2, we have to configure the last usable host on the IP address on the IP4 network. And I'm thinking we do the same thing on the IPv6 network. So again, I have the packet tracer version of this lab pulled up. So let's get right into it. As soon as I find my mouse, there we go. All right. So starting in R1. All right. We're getting to the command line. Enable config T. So first we have to interface. Well, we have to determine which interface we're gonna put this on. So, and it's obviously gig 1. So enable config T interface gig. I did say gig 1, right? Let me double check that again. Okay, yeah, gig 1. Interface, let's see, the 0/1. All right. IP address, and the IP address that we were given was, I think, was 192.168.192, right? So the first usable address in that subnet would be, let's see, IP address 192.168.193 would be the first usable element. And didn't it say the what's this 28? Okay, we're gonna use the 240 CIDR. Or not 240, 255.255. This is gonna be the subnet mask. .240. And let's no shut the port. Just get that out of the way so you don't forget. No shut. Now we're gonna go back to those instructions and add the IPv6 address. Let's see, what was the, it was 2001. And I'm looking at the instructions off screen. Okay. IPv6 2001 colon DB8 colon 12. Was it 12? Yeah, 12 colon and 61 with the slash 125. Okay, so that IPv6. I forgot address. IPv6 address. 3 S's. 2001 colon DB8 colon 12 colon. What did I put? 61? Yeah, 61 slash 125. Okay, so that's it for the zero for router 1. Now we're gonna go over to router 2 and do the same thing. Enable config C IP address 192.168 dot 168. And so the last usable IP address and that subnet would be, let's see, 206. Okay, that's right, 206. And we're going to use a subnet mask of 255, 255, 255, 240. Okay, what did I do wrong? IP address 192. Let me try it again. The address 192.168. That let's see, now I'll put the IP address of 192.168.160.206. I wonder if that's right. Wait, what? Give me a second while I do this in my head, or attempt to do this in my head. Okay, I think I figured out what I was doing wrong. I forgot to interface to interface 01. So let's try it again. Interface G01. Interface 01. Now we're going to do the IP address 192.168.206 with the subnet mask of 242.55. Okay, yeah, there we go. I'm going to no set the port. Port comes up. Now for the IPv6 address. IPv6 address 2001 colon B8 colon and let's see what we the last one was 6.1, so we're gonna use 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 6. It's gonna be 67. Put that in. So by all means, that should be it. That's all we have to do for this IPv4, IPv6 assignment. We've implemented the IPv4 and the IPv6 address. We configured the usable, first usable and last usable subnets. So let's verify. So let's save our work. Do right, ma'am. And we see the links have turned green. So to verify, we're going to do a ping. We're going to ping R1's IPv4 address. 92.168.68. What was it? 91. Yeah. So our pings are going through. And we got 4 out of 5. Let's hit that again. And we're good on the pings. So now we're going to go back over to R1 and ping R2's IPv6 address. In takes us out of config mode. Now we're back in enable mode. Ping DB812 colon 67. And we're good. We got 5 out of 5. So there you have it, people. That was fairly quick and simple and easy. That was the IPv4 and IPv6 assignment simulation lab for the CCNA. So once again, a little different from the first one, not that much. If you know the concepts, if you know how to configure the lab, not much has changed. It's just you gotta figure out the first and last usable subnets for the IP address and the IPv6 address. So once again, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. This is Terrence Warren, Cisco Tutor Guy. I forgot to introduce myself when I first